Hey everyone, Sarcastic Chorus here. Welcome to my sarcastic summary of Steven Universe Season 5. Here's a hot take. The Diamonds redemption is not the biggest problem with this show. Oh, it's bad. But there's one issue that I feel like has slipped under the radar. This is gonna be a long one, so grab your popcorn or skip ahead to hear my grand thesis for why this finale, while good, didn't stick the landing. Stuck together. Worthless Lars and human crutch Steven are stuck together in space, and it's worse than it sounds. Also, what indoctrination Topaz is easily convinced to betray Homeworld? A recurring theme in this season, the trial. Steven gets brought face to face with the Diamonds, and a rando figures out an obvious conclusion because Steven can't figure shit out on his own. Story begins with all-seeing Steven being dropped off in a holding cell to meet his lawyer, Bargain Bin Zircon, who is naturally panicking because this is a pretty open and shut case. Hasn't realized they're going to kill him yet. Steven is acting incredibly nonchalant. Kid, have some urgency. You're probably gonna die soon. In the courtroom, we meet our opposition lawyer. I'm sure there's an anime reference in here somewhere. Objection! Blue and yellow slaves pop up to announce their master's entrance. So blue sob story and yellow control freak both take their seats. Trial starts. And it goes about as well as you might expect. Terrible. Spineless Steven just sits around pouting. Dude, they're gonna kill you, then blow up the earth when they don't get their cluster. Gag villain Eyeball shows up to testify. It's pretty damning. I mean, it's all technically true, but still. Yellow Dictator is happy to execute him right then and there, but Blue Tearjerker wants to hear the defense's side, because we need to give Plot Armor Steven a chance to escape this mess. So Steven has the brilliant idea to take the blame for all of his mother's mistakes, because Complex decides he just wants the gems to let Lars go. Can you not do that, please? Blue Mouthpiece steers the conversation where the writers want the story to go, because it's the home stretch, and now is the time to add more mystery. Doesn't know shit, Steven guesses what happened to Pink Diamond because he never bloody asks anyone anything. Blue Emotion screams that it was a sword that shattered Pink, even though, as Bismuth once said,
it can cut through a gem's physical form in an instant, destroying the body, but never the gem.
And 2 + 2 = fish Steven can't be the one to figure things out, because where would they stuff overinflated drama then? So stating the obvious, Zircon points out the clear BS in the Pink Diamond story, like how Rose Quartz could just sneak up on a diamond in the middle of her army. Where were her attendants? Where was her pearl? All great questions that no one in the room thought to ask, because Steven wasn't in the room to hear it. Zircon blames the wrong diamond for Pink's death, and Yellow puts a new meaning to boop, boop. Pikachu blasts the other lawyer for running her mouth. Mystic and Instinct start arguing. Live for someone else Steven gets out of suicidal funk to save not worth it Lars. Escaping on the Palanquin, really overcomplicated name by the way. They bust out into Homeworld, and the episode closes with a menacing shot of Yellow. That turns out to be completely empty, but hey, let's just move on. Off colors. Steven meets a group of misfit toys. They each have a bit, and none of them are funny the second time around. Now, Steven and Sid from Toy Story start walking around the tunnels, till Killer Eyebot shows up. It can detect gems, and has its sights set on Steven. They run away, and after nearly dying, Lars tells us what we already know.
Don't get it. I hate being scared all the time. I was scared of everything except baking. Actually, I was scared of that too.
Hey, fun question. If a character spends 4 seasons being unlikable, then the plot does the bare minimum to make them likable, how many fucks do I give? Sometimes you just have to cut your losses. Can't Hold My Attention twins run into Rutile twins, who are the only consistently good off-colors. Bring the bedwetters to the other misfit toys. They're all here because they don't fit in some way. Birth defects, non-standard sexual orientation, and wow, they are really leaning into those Nazi parallels. As for the gems themselves, we get Slow Talker Fluorite, boring, Tired Gag Paparazza, who is cute, but annoying. Forgot that she was there, Rhodonite, who just exists. Group chats for a while before the eye thing comes back. Has a heartbeat Lars distracts the eyes. Gag character puts people in danger. Minor fight happens, but let's just speed up to the end. Sadly, it doesn't stick. Healing Tear Steven brings back the dead teenager as a pink zombie thing. For everyone complaining about the fact that I'm cheering for the death of a teenager, yeah, you're probably right. But I don't actually care if he lives or dies, I just want him off the screen. Lars's head. Disappointment all around, Lars is alive, and Steven blows a chance to learn more about Homeworld, choosing instead to hang out at the Shore Shack. I miss rocket power. Dewey wins. Steven doesn't understand that he basically abandoned Connie, and rather than dealing with that juicy piece of personal drama, the rest of the episode is about Steven failing to get a hack mayor to keep his job. Just address the real problem. Gemcation. The Gems continue to refuse to get phone-obsessed Steven real therapy. Greg really needs to take his son away from these idiots. Raising the barn. Pumpkin is missing, Lapis is leaving, and the only ship I marginally cared about is over. Back to the kindergarten. Fresh off her breakup, Peridot takes up gardening. This does not work, but it's a Peridot episode, so it's automatically good. Sadie Killer. 3 seasons too late, Sadie quits her job and becomes a singer. The wonders of being out of a toxic relationship. Kevin Party. Fuckboy Kevin pops up and they hint that he's not all bad. Because as the saying goes, villains are just friends you haven't made yet. Connie and Steven make up? Wow. Even the line is unimpressed with this arc. Lars of the Stars. We missed Lars' entire character arc because Steven wasn't there to see it. Newsflash, he still sucks. He's always sucked, and making him Captain Harlock for an episode isn't an arc. It's fan fiction. Story starts with the Jam Buddies back together. They go to visit Lars, who they've kind of just abandoned for a week. Riding through the Hairway, they end up on a ship in the middle of some 90s anime scene.
You'll never take us alive, Emerald!
Wow. The writers are really overcompensating. So, Space Dummy Lars is dealing with overly anime Emerald, who apparently has this whole long rivalry with the Off-Colors, which I would rather have seen than any of the last few episodes. Star Trek knockoffs are in a bind. Drops the facade Lars, starts freaking out about Sadie hanging out with the popular kids, and he's not. Some people will say this is good because it shows he's still a confused teenager, but I could care less. One pep talk later, we get Stevani.
And best friends wouldn't do anything to hurt each other.
Someone hasn't gone to high school yet. Lars is able to save the day because Emerald is an incel. Her best friend is Lars' ship and won't blow it up. Going outside the ship to get shot down, Stevani crashes into the next episode. Jungle Moon. First episode without Steven, and the show is so much better for it. Trapped on a moon, Stevani hallucinates about Pink Diamond. Not a lot happens, but it's really good. Your Mother and Mine. Garnet accidentally offends the Off-Colors, who have long since stopped being funny. Everything else in the episode is a lie, so I won't bother repeating. It's pretty though. Can't go back. Ronaldo somehow doesn't ruin an episode. Steven finds Lapis on the moon, who starts singing, and thankfully, it's good. Why Lapis is so dependent on a 12-year-old she knew for a day is anyone's guess. Though that's basically the case for all the characters in this show. Lapis refuses to come back, and here we go, Steven has another vision about Pink. Single pale rose. Rose courts with Pink Diamond, everything we knew was a lie, and Pearl's entire character arc just got real creepy. Story begins with anxious Steven sucking up the courage to ask former best character Pearl what's going on.
If maybe you shattered Pink Diamond.
Oh shit, so he can ask questions. Gag order Pearl can't answer though. Let the jumping through hoops begin. Steven gets a mysterious text from Pearl saying she can't tell him. He bursts through the door like Guy Sensei on crack. Pearl doesn't have her phone though, so she sends Steven inside her gem. Or Mind Palace if you want to make a Sherlock reference. We discover Heartbreaker Pearl has tons of admirers, probably all have pink hair. On the next level, we see Lost Girl Pearl crying about Rose disappearing because of Steven. Next level is Post-Corruption Ray. We get a grim look at the atrocities the Diamonds committed. 1, 2, 3, and now the show has completely forgotten all of it. Then we see Pearl as Rose poofing Pink Diamond. Then the big reveal happens. Rose was Pink Diamond, and Pearl was Rose's slave. So complete moron Pink Diamond decided that rather than keep fighting to protect life everywhere, or free other gems from the caste system a la Bismuth, her master plan was to fake her death, then hope the other diamonds would just leave.
That's real dumb.
They go forward with the plan. Abusing her authority, Pink strips Pearl of her free will by ordering her never to speak of this again, because she's her diamond, and she must obey. Past Pearl gives shook Steven the phone that allowed Pearl to show him all of this. Hooray for fetch quests! Steven gets pushed out of the Mind Palace, and he accidentally spills the beans to everyone. Fun fact, Pearl and Peridot were neck and neck for my favorite character. Then this episode happens, and now I'm ride or die for Peridot. So even up until last week, I thought I was mostly a fan of Pearl, but I had forgotten how pissed off this episode made me. Now, people will say how this ruined Rose's character, which it doesn't. She was never compelling to begin with, and frankly how the writers make her look like such an awful person while the diamonds can walk away annoys me way more. But what this twist does to Pearl is not okay, because this takes Pearl's character from an independent gem who broke free from her oppressor and makes her a slave that fell in love with her master. The writers can tweet about how Pearl was in full control all they want. It changes nothing. Pearls from the moment they are created are meant to be slaves and obey their masters. What does Pearl do? She falls in love, then keeps obeying her master. Practically, there is nothing separating our Pearl from the others, except that she has a bit more versatility in her skill set. Gems are literally programmed to love and adore their diamonds, so now we have to question if her feelings are even genuine. Look, I'm not trying to be one of the haters. I make fun of the show, but I still love most of the things about it. But this and the bismuth situation, I unambiguously hate. And it's because I care that this sets me off. You wanna know how they can save this twist and not ruin Pearl's character? It's really easy. Don't have Pink own Pearl. Have Pearl be damaged and thrown in the trash. Then when Pink first started masquerading as Rose, she uses her healing powers to save her. Pearl can still be in love with Rose, but she has no code in her brain telling her to serve this person. It could have been made into an actual character flaw that Pearl struggles with her feelings for Rose, not wanting to serve her just because she's a diamond, but because of who she is as a person. That's an arc everyone can get behind. And here's some more food for thought. If Rose Quartz was an actual separate entity from Pink, Pearl would never have rebelled. Bismuth, hell yes. Garnet, of course. But not Pearl. She would never. She would have stuck by her master's side because that is all she has ever done until the moment Rose died. If Yellow was the rebel, her Pearl would have gone with her. If Blue rebelled, her Pearl would have gone with her because Pearls follow. And you know what? If this story happened with a black palette swap Pearl, no one would defend this choice. And you're a liar if you say otherwise. Now we're only falling apart. Sapphire rightly freaks out, then Pearl begins the powerless Pink movement, where the story bends over backwards to tell us how she wasn't to blame for anything. Oh, so she was still a saint. Sapphire is convinced, but now Red KO is gone. What's your problem? It's a rest episode. Amethyst shoots up in popularity now that she's the only gem with her shit together. The question. Ruby's a cowboy, then asks Sapphire to marry her, which feels like a massive downgrade from being the same person, but whatever. More power to you. Maid of honor. Steven lets out Bismuth because he's the only person who can make decisions. Everything is fine, making every second she was trapped a colossal dick move. Reunited. Rebecca Sugar has Garnet's wedding happen in the same episode as the diamonds show up as a fuck you to censors. I respect the power move, but both plots kind of suffer for it. Plot opens with singing. It'd be weird if the episode didn't at this point. Steven is getting ready for the wedding. The song is positive, so you know something bad is gonna happen. Everyone is dressed for the occasion. Points to Peridot and Amethyst for killing it. Underwhelming cluster gets brought up, so you know it's gonna be important later. Wedding begins. Feminine Sapphire is in a suit. A guy in several countries' Ruby is in a dress. And this was the decision that got half this episode cut in Russia. They both look adorable though. They say their vows. It's great. Man, I like these two so much more apart than as Garnet. At the reception, things are going well. Mr. Waterworks starts crying, but this isn't him though. So the plot shows up to kill this show's gay vibes. It's looking for the cluster. MacGuffin Steven tries to talk with the cluster to keep it calm, but it's having none of it. It's got real shit to do. Turning into a massive arm, Darth Diamond pops up for a fight.
Blue Diamond.
Guess it's time to work the old universe charm.
No!
Hey, give the guy a shot. He's 2 for 2 here. Family excuses everything Steven, tries to tell Blue he's Pink Diamond, but surprise, she isn't having it. Alexandrite shows up and for the love of please put that thing away. This fusion never works. Average teenager Blue rants about her feelings, sending out more depression rays that knocks everyone down. Connie gets Yamcha'd. Garnet gives a big speech about herself, but can't do anything, except it was just a distraction, and late arrival Lapis drops the barn on Blue, showing us that action works better than words, apparently. It's the home stretch, so loose ends are getting wrapped up left and right. Always depressed Lapis is immune to Blue's negativity. Endgame shot happens. Comedic Gold Peridot is still killing it. Yellow loses the arm wrestling match, but she busts out of the wreckage to tag team the gems with Blue. Best Girl Peridot gets poofed. Rip. Hammering in the message Steven again tries to talk, because that has always worked.
Steven!
Well, that's one way to cut to commercials. Steven is astral projecting because this is how the plot is going to resolve everything. Next scene is one part condescending and the other part frustrating as Steven has to remind the other gems of their character development.
I won't give up. Everything I do it for her. I do it for him.
Don't forget about yourself, Pearl!
I do it for me.
You just can't let them have the moment, can you? You just have to have Steven be the crutch for the rest of the cast. Plot Nexus Steven gets to the diamonds, and after sensing his energy, they stop because family. Steven, I hope you appreciate the fact that if you weren't related to the diamonds, you'd be dead. Talking didn't save the day, nepotism did. Legs from here to homeworld. Steven puts on some of his mom's old pants and meets his grandmother, the biggest disappointment in the show. We also find out the diamonds didn't know their attack would corrupt the gems, because this show doesn't have time to actually redeem the diamonds, so it's settled for backpedaling on every horrible thing they've ever done. Familiar. Steven tries to convince million-year-old dictators to change their ways, because changing people's entire worldview in a week is kinda his thing. Together alone, Steven is suffocated by the culture he doesn't understand and gets angry when they don't do things his way. Then he gets locked in the tower for fusing with Connie. Escapism. A waste of our goddamn time. The other gems find out they need to come to homeworld. Change your mind. A great Aesop that works if you look at the story on its own, but gets really fucked up if you look at it in context. Princess Steven wakes up to just apologize Blue Diamond, who is telling him to get with the program. He refuses, calling this society bullshit, and that he did nothing wrong, in his mind. The two have a back and forth. Blue gets increasingly Irish. She hits Steven.
This isn't normal.
It depressingly is. The nice one, quotes, realizes that locking her family up in a dark tower might be why her sister ran away. Deciding to help him, she tries to take Steven to where the other crystal gems are being kept, in Yellow's room. Semi-consistent Yellow is not having any of this, giving lip service to all the evil hype and build up around her, which is immediately washed away once she starts crying about being sad and neglected by White. Because even galactic tyrants get stressed out about how hard their life is. I'm sure their slaves would agree. So now Blue and Yellow are on Team Good Guy because emotions are more important than actions.
One day you'll have to face the consequences of your actions.
No, I won't. People forgive you if you're likable, and I'm the most charming SOB anyone's ever met.
The Pearl from Get Out pops up, tells them to go back to their rooms. When they don't, she brings out the big robot. The A-team is still out for the count. Luckily, the way more likable B-team is here and piloting the arms. Karma's dead diamonds tell Steven to leave, but he refuses because he's not his mother, and running away solved none of her problems.
I don't want to run. I don't want to fight. I just want to talk.
New drinking game. Take a shot every time Steven says talk or listen. So the two decide to give this whole communication thing a try. They force the robot down. Steven takes a knee. They give talking a shot. Everyone's life coach Steven gets Yellow and Blue to talk about changing things. But gods don't fall gracefully, so White takes over the other diamonds. Dropping everyone, Steven rushes to save the other gems. Out of options, Dance Party Steven decides to fuse with the gems to wake them up. We get fun smoky quartz, my favorite Rainbow Quartz 2.0, and the Raisin Brand mascot Sunstone. I really don't like this one. Sunstone looks like they designed the gem around the name rather than the gem and people they're built out of. Both of these fusions feel rushed and I think deserved an arc apiece to really build up to, rather than just throwing them all in at the end. The team tries to climb up the robot's leg, but that's a no. Fuck it, it's the end. Garnet decides to burst out Alexandrite DLC Obsidian. Finally getting to the top, the gems enter Andross's head where they walk in on the puppet show. Reason You Suck White talks down to Steven, insisting on calling him Pink. It's really about transgender rights and to show off what a bitch White is. The other gems get taken out. Wouldn't want them to steal any of Steven's spotlight. Self-absorbed White rants about how she's perfect and any deviation is considered imperfect. Trite Steven gives the "they are perfect just the way they are" speech you've heard 100 times, and it's worked all of them. Probably on the money, White calls out Pink's behavior of enabling those around her, which, given the 10,000 unaddressed problems with the gems, probably isn't too far off. Steven again says he's not Pink, but then White removes his gem. We get a cool split screen effect, and the gem, rather than forming his mother, becomes Pink Steven. Frodo is dying, so Samwise Connie has to carry him to his gem. Props to Zach for this line.
She's gone!
Damn, he's good. Wonder what else he's been in. He must have a great agent. So Steven, in the best animated scene of the show, and no, this isn't CGI, refuses with himself. Hooray for self-love. Props to the only animated horse I've never hated. After that perfect scene, Steven is back, White is throwing a tantrum, Steven's clapback embarrasses White so much she turns pink, and freaks out even more how this shows she's not perfect. So, all of a sudden, she's just ready for a reading from her Lord and Savior, Steven Universe. And that's it. A millennia of conquest and exterminating all organic life in the universe. Getting embarrassed is all it takes to make a galactic tyrant cancel everything. We'll come back to this. So White is brought to Earth, the diamonds take a magic bath, and all the corrupted gems are fixed. No one is freaking out about their sworn enemies being in the room, making a scene Jasper is told to cool it by Amethyst. The non-redemption train leaves, and we close out with decent protagonists singing on the beach. I think the finale is fantastic as a self-contained story about family and communication, but fails when viewed from the perspective of what came before it. Here is my big issue with the finale, and the story overall. People have harped on about the redeeming and immediately character shift of the diamonds, primarily White, who changes on a dime because of a joke. Yes, it's ridiculous, and I see what they're going for with the family dynamic, but if you look at what they've done, it's really messed up. At least with White. I can tolerate, not accept, tolerate that Moody and murder-happy Blue and Yellow were being forced into this and didn't know better, but White has no excuse. That said, the redemption of the diamonds is not my biggest complaint, or the thing that damages the finale for me. It's the thesis. The thesis of the show, in a nutshell, is that people should talk and accept others. It's about avoiding conflict and loving one another. That is the final message that Steven Universe has staked everything on. Acceptance and talking things out. It's why we don't get a giant battle to bubble White, because that would go against the big theme. And the show decided that preserving family is something they suddenly care about. But for me, looking at the entire story, all 5 seasons, this idea about communication and talking things out is bullshit. Because no one actually communicates in this show. Steven is the only person that communicates. And unless it's facilitated by him, it doesn't happen between any of the other characters. So as much as it wants this grand Aesop, its dependence on Steven makes the message feel incredibly hollow. The diamonds don't talk to one another about their problems. Okay, they're the villains. This is the lesson they need to learn. Except the crystal gems are no better. We never see Pearl talk with Amethyst about losing Rose. We never see Garnet speak to Greg about struggling to raise Steven or being a bad parent. They don't communicate at the beginning of the show, and they don't communicate at the end. And while they reach a much better place at the story's conclusion, working out their own personal issues, they do that internally without input from anyone that isn't Steven. When the gems are fighting the diamonds, we get the most obvious scene of this show's failure. I think what should have happened is that they look to each other to find their strength, rather than having to be reminded by Steven of what they're supposed to be. This show is built around Steven, and this is easily its greatest failing. Not the Diamond's redemption, not Bismuth getting bubbled, it's botching its own thesis. Because again, you can just watch the finale and come away with a great lesson, but the groundwork for the argument they are making is flawed. Because rather than fostering it among many characters who improve their lives by leaning on one another, it made Steven the crutch that everyone uses. So when it says, give me a chance to change your mind, it's exactly that. Give Steven a chance to change your mind. Because no one else is allowed to say, anything. That, in my critical, nitpicky adult mind, is the problem with Steven Universe. The show uses Steven like a crutch, just as the gems do, and it's to everyone's detriment. That said, I still think it's a good show. I like the message it's trying to send. If a kid watches this, they won't learn negative values. They won't become Nazi apologists or any of the crazy shit that's been said about this show. But it does have its flaws, and you can love something and still acknowledge that it has problems. And I do feel a bit bad because while I think the Galactic Tyrant angle made Forgiving the Diamonds a bit too much, I also think a lot of us should cop to the fact that we wouldn't be watching this show if the stakes weren't so high, when the show was more comfortable and concise when focusing on smaller stories in a much lighter tone. And because I don't want to just critique the show, here's what I think should have happened in the finale. If we must keep all the groundwork that was laid before it, and redeeming White Diamond is the ending we must keep, then I think the thing that should have changed White Diamond's mind wasn't a comeback from Steven, because it makes White Diamond seem like an afterthought to Steven's big self-love moment. I think White Diamond, and here it is, should have fused with Steven, and from that experience recognize the value of connecting with others, because White's whole character is based on being perfect. She views everyone else around her as an extension of herself. To her, fusing would be admitting that there is something she lacks, and this could show her a whole new realm of possibilities. That yes, she is in fact wrong. There are things she does indeed lack. From that experience, she could have begun a path to redemption, instead of this weird hiding her racism aunt thing. And that's what I think should have happened in Steven Universe. I love the show, but Steven's point of view is really to this show's detriment. But overall, I still liked it. Alright everyone, this has been Sarcastic Chorus. Thank you all for watching. This channel would mean nothing without you. And I'm not just saying that because you guys help me get paid. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned because I will be doing the movie and future, but not next week. Because as the good man once said,
And now for something completely different.
peace out, Sarcastic fans. We're going to talk about the Clone Wars next week.